Okay, it's Monday, December 18th. This is the meeting of the Wolfeboro Budget Committee at the Wolfeboro Town Library. And tonight we're going to look at half the warrant articles, also Children Unlimited and Caregivers of New Hampshire.
Your packet? Okay.
I'm going to talk about a few other things.
Leanne handed me that. Did you make some packet for us?
Oh, yeah, it was just the stuff in the emails. I mean, I have an extra copy if you want.
I might have it. I printed out a ton of stuff.
Can you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Brian, if you lead us, that'd be great.
For me?
Yeah.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Brian. Does the town manager have anything for us before we start?
Well, I think everything I have will be contained within the agenda, Mr. Chairman.
Anyone from Children Unlimited here this evening? Did we notify them?
Yes, I went back and forth probably 6 emails with Shelley Rondo. She stated she would be in attendance.
Okay, what, take a look at that. Jim, what's the request? Do you have it right there handy?
$2,730 level funded. Children Unlimited, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I'll do a motion to use Children Unlimited by $2,730, and I'll speak to my motion if I get a second.
Second.
We've always required agencies to come before us, give them an opportunity to explain what they do and what they've done, and what they contribute to the community. We had some issues when we first scheduled agencies that were corrected. Leanne, you sent out emails and spoke to everyone?
Yes.
And you haven't received anything back from Children's Unlimited?
I did receive something back, and she said that she would be here at 6 o'clock.
Okay. In the event, if my motion passes, in the event, we'll certainly give the representative from Children Unlimited the opportunity to, again, request this money. But I think it's important that the folks that get the money come here and tell us how it's spent, so they're not just we know, but the people out there, that the residents also know.
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
Linda, I can't remember just because it's been a while now. She went before the select board? Is
All
that?
of them did.
Yes,
They all came
All
before
of
the
them
select
came
board?
before us.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Except for Lakes Region B&A, which you took out of the budget.
They didn't come at all.
Correct.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, could you do a roll call, Leanne, please?
Bobby Boone.
Can you
Budman,
clarify his?
to reduce the Children Unlimited in the amount of
$2,730, which is their initial request.
No.
Bob Tuffer,
Yes.
John McDonald.
Yes.
I don't even know who. Bob Mulholland.
Yes.
Brian Black.
Yes.
Matt Plash.
Yes.
Bob Lohman.
Yes.
Paul O'Brien.
Yes.
Brian DeShays.
Yes. Somebody just walked in.
Once again, if the representative contacts you folks at the office, just ask them to call Leanne and we can reschedule. Glad to do that.
Yeah, with the weather, you never know.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
What did you say?
because of the weather, you never know.
Oh, she knows.
Okay, caregivers? Hi.
Hi.
Thank you for coming this evening, appreciate it.
I'm Chris Rose, and I am the chairman of Caregivers of Southern County. We've been here many times before. For those who don't know what we do, we drive people to their medical appointments at no charge. This is not just for seniors. We do take children Of course, they have to be accompanied by a parent. We have 12 coordinators who answer the phone during the week from their home, and the police department, thank you, is good enough to transfer the phone number twice a day to our homes. The client calls us, tells us when the appointment is, what time, gives us the address, their address, and we then have a list of drivers. And we then call the drivers, ask them if they will do the run. If they say yes, then we call the client back, and the night before their drive, the driver will call them directly to make sure that the timing is correct. We handle Alton, Ossipee, Tuftonboro, and Wolfeboro. Wolfeboro is 1/3 of our clients. We have coordinators from Alton, we have coordinators from Tuftonboro, and we have coordinators from Wolfeboro. We have no coordinators from Ossipee. We have no drivers from Ossipee. So this is one of our big problems, is we need drivers. Our drivers are getting old. We're all getting old. We have a coordinator who's in her 90s. We have a driver who is 90. And people aren't retiring as young as they used to. And so we need drivers. The drivers are paid 55 cents a mile for any distance that they do over 50 miles. In-town people do not get anything. Drivers can specify if they want to do only in-town or in-town and within 40 miles, or some people don't want to go out of New Hampshire. We do Maine. We have gone to Whitehall in Vermont. We do not do Boston anymore. We don't have any drivers that want to drive there. Any questions?
Why don't you tell us your phone number? Maybe there'll be some people that are watching that might want to be drivers.
I would love to tell you our phone number if I have it. I have applications here, though. If anybody would like applications. I was fortunate last year when I came to the meeting, I got 2.
Oh, that's good.
So that was worth the trip, worth the trip. So our number is 569-6780. Any of our coordinators are willing to take your name and address, and then they will give me a call, and I will send out an application.
I see one of the library trustees is here. Maybe he can take a couple applications, leave them at the front desk.
Yeah,
For
that'd be
folks.
excellent. Or
Fine.
you can give
Sure.
us one copy and we'll make copies of it.
Sure, thank you, Brody.
Okay, do you have any questions?
No.
Could I just read a letter?
Sure.
This is a letter that is explaining one of our clients' experience. She said, I am writing this letter in support of the caregivers of Southern Carroll County and vicinity. I'm a retired New Hampshire elementary school teacher. About 10 years ago, I found myself retiring due to poor health. I also had to give up my car as I could no longer drive. As I was living in rural New Hampshire, I was dependent on friends and neighbors to drive me to my doctor's appointments. I soon realized that I needed much more help than my friends and neighbors could provide. Someone suggested caregivers to me, and I reached out to them. Caregivers coordinators found drivers to bring me to appointments. The drivers were friendly and caring and got me to and from appointments. That is one thing. We wait for the people. We do not just drop them off and have somebody else come later on. It is usually the only time is if they are doing infusion or something like that where there's a number of hours. The drivers, I can't thank caregivers enough for the difference they made in my life. I was able to stay in my home and seek the medical help I needed. I recently became a coordinator for caregivers. I wanted to give back to this organization, which has meant so much to me. Caregivers is a stellar organization. and the people who are involved in it are amazing individuals. We are blessed to have this program in our area.
Very good. Thank you so much for sharing that.
We are very lucky to have her as a coordinator.
Yeah, definitely. You have any questions about us or anything, or?
No.
Okay, have a Merry Christmas and
Thank
for
you.
coming in.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Have a good night.
Okay, Jim, where would you like to go now?
Well, I think, point of order, you might want to do public comment. There's quite a few people here tonight, and that was an item after the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay. I apologize to everyone. Any public comment for this evening?
Yeah. You like to sit here?
That would be wonderful, Suzanne, thank you.
Okay. Suzanne Ryan, resident taxpayer. Tonight you'll be discussing a letter that the Board of Selectmen have put together for you to send to the Department of Revenue Administration. I'd like to refresh your memory as to what the auditor had to say in his report. And page 9, as you recall at our last meeting, I said the financial mechanism for Pop Whalen was a house of cards. I'm not saying that the Pop Whalen is a bad idea. I'm just saying financially it was and is a house of cards. And your auditor's report of 2022, page 9, quote, "The unassigned fund balance drastically took a temporary decrease because of Pop Whalen expansion project, which was completed with an offsetting donation in the amount of $2,700,000 due to the town, catch this date, July 23rd, 2023. And the check was dated 2023. So it was treated as a revenue. Revenues are measurable and available. Available and collectible, according to the accountant on page 27, current period or soon enough to pay the current liability, typically 60 days after fiscal year, and defers any amount received by that date. In general, other revenues such as taxes are recognized when cash is received. This $2 million was not a revenue in -- Town treasurer has custody of all monies belonging to the town. The question would be, what was his role, his or her role, in accepting these checks? Page 31, general fund deficit. And these are written right out of his report. These are not my words. The general fund reports an unassigned deficit fund balance of $295,000 as of December 22, resulting from Pop Whalen renovation, which were anticipated to be funded through general obligation debt and private donations. The town issued a debt related to this project during '22, but did not receive any donation funds until July 23. It is expected, this is not my words, these are the quotes from the report, it is expected that the unassigned fund balance in the general fund will be replenished as of December 31st, 23, with the realization, all right, everybody realized, with the realization after the donated funds was it not, it would be replenished if it was not used for the roads, for that road warrant article. It's supposed to be replenished. So you can see that the accountant knew what was going on, but evidently others didn't. But I do have a question, and you don't need to answer it now. You can answer it certainly when you get back to the letter. At the first meeting with the Board of Selectmen, when the town manager was trying to recover where these monies would come from, I believe the balance of the amount he was able to find that we could use was 113,000. And then somewhere along the line, plowing came into this as what's supposed to be an emergency funding. So is the 113 including the plowing money, or are you adding on now plowing money? So I don't need that answer now. You want to wait and do that when you do your letter, that's fine.
Okay. Thank you, Suzanne. Anyone else? Public comment? Yes, sir.
Quick comment, we've got two other agencies on the list, are they not here?
They canceled today. They're gonna, they rescheduled for December 28th.
Oh, you're welcome.
I know.
Okay, no other public comment for now. Jim, you want to start on the warrant articles, or you want to do something else?
Well, the letter from DRA is next on your agenda, so, while it's fresh in everybody's mind, probably ought to tackle it.
Okay.
So to answer, if I may, to answer Suzanne's question, we
Excuse me
have...
for a second. I'd like to make a motion that we move the letter to after the warrant articles, because we have a room here full of people who probably do not want to sit through this letter.
We're doing, oh jeez. Okay, you can make your motion. Just gotta get a second.
Sorry.
Okay. Any further discussion? Nothing? Okay, we'll go, I guess, a roll call vote.
Bobby Budman,
Yes.
Bob Tuffer,
No.
John McDonald,
No.
Bob Mulholland,
No.
Ryan Black,
Yes.
Matt Plosh,
No.
Bob Lohman,
Yes.
Paul O'Brien,
Yes.
and Brian DeShade.
Yes.
5 to 8. I mean 5 to 3.
Okay.
That's not right.
That's
That's not right.
1, yes.
6 to 3.
2, 3,
6
4.
3.
There's
Six.
10 of us.
No.
Yeah, 6.
There's-
Someone
6
missing?
yes.
I'm fine.
4 oh.
Who's missing?
Okay. 5 yes, 4 no.
Okay, so the motion passes. So apparently, Mr. Dunn, we're going to move on to the warrant articles.
Well, by agenda, revisit items is first.
We'll go by what the vote was of the committee.
Okay. So warrant articles, you have a packet in front of you this evening that gives you an overview of the warrant articles. There's not a lot of detail in these. The first warrant article is your operating budget, which you guys will vote on contingent upon your public hearing. The next one is the Port Wetland Drainage Project.
Yeah.
Any update on when the default will be ready?
Not at this point.
Port Wetland Drainage Project, that's scheduled for the bond hearing as of January 3rd, at which time the Board of Selectmen will make a determination to vote. Town road upgrades, currently we're looking to raise and appropriate the sum of $700,000 for the purpose of upgrading and engineering of town roads and drainage systems. This appropriation is non-lapsing pursuant to RSA 32.7, Roman numeral 6, and shall lapse on December 31, 2025, or upon completion of the project, whichever occurs first. This has a estimated 29-cent impact on the tax rate per thousand. The Board of Selectmen voted to approve this warrant article by a margin of 5-0. Road plan for 2024, Pleasant Valley Road overlay, Townsend Dam outfall area, dirt road upgrades, beach pond section, Upper Haynes Hill reclaim and base, and culverts. If you have specific questions to this, Steve Randall is here to be able to answer them.
John?
Any questions? Yeah.
Yeah, the dirt road upgrades, do you have any specificity on that?
If you'd asked me that yesterday, I would have had a different answer than today. So it will be we'll see how it is in the spring. They all need culverts, they all need gravel, they all need upgrading, continuing.
So it's maintenance?
Maintenance, and more than, maintenance is too light of a word. So they'll need, a lot of them need a foot and a half of gravel still.
You got nothing else? Okay. Steve, on the beach pond section, Upper Haynes, are those the only two, are those sections being finished up because of the summer storm issue, or is it a separate?
Those are separate.
Separate?
Those are separate, yep. Those were actually, should have been done this year, in '23. We had to shelf them because of the storm damage.
Okay, so then my second part of the question is, are any of these in 700, or any of these kind of additions to what was the result of the storms in July, or?
No.
Okay.
So everything that we did for July is pretty well sealed up. I do have a top coat to put on Jennis Farm Road, but that'll hold for 2 years. It's winter binder, so that'll start to cycle through in a couple of years.
And what was the original submission that you put forward to the board?
900.
Okay, thanks.
I have a question. Is the 71,000 that was pushed off from the last warrant article this past year, is that in this figure too for town upgrades, or is this separate?
The 71 that you didn't spend, no, we have to use that in 2023, so it has nothing to do with 2024.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Anything else on town road upgrades?
Question.
Yeah.
Parochial interest.
What about my road?
What about my road? You know from last year, there was a discussion about Sewell Road being resurfaced.
Yes. So I had that in my initial 900 plan to reclaim. There's two very distinct sections, about 2,500 feet-ish, that need to be reclaimed, raised up. And then that was, like I said, that was the initial for 24. We would have reclaimed those two sections, milled a couple of the others, and then for 25, I had that as an overlay. Because the majority of that road is still in pretty good shape.
Going around the corner by Sewell Road, woods, right?
Right.
That's it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then down towards the other end. So the goal would be to try to maintain that so that we don't have to do a full rebuild on the whole road. Everything is just going to get pushed back a year.
Okay.
Anything else?
Yeah, yeah. So the answer is, not this year, next year?
It's budget dependent, Paul.
So, not this year, no idea when it'll happen next year. You don't have a clue yet, because you have to go through.
I have to go through the budget, and then we'll assess it based on what we have for money.
And you have to go to the planning board for this, to get, because it's a scenic road, you have to go to the planning board? to get
No,
it
because I'm not changing anything.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else on town road upgrades? $700,000, 29% increase in your taxes per thousand. Okay, next one.
So the next two are library warrant articles, reauthorization for landscaping, and a library solar project. Board of Selectmen will be taking those matters up on Wednesday evening. Your next warrant article, which was voted on, was police vehicle replacement, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $74,000 for the purpose of a police cruiser replacement vehicle and ancillary vehicle equipment, with $3,000 from the police detail revolving fund created by warrant article 13 in 2006, which has accumulated from special details. Estimated tax rate impact for 2024, 3 cents per thousand of assessed valuation, recommended by the Board of Selectmen by a vote of 5-0, and Captain Libby is here to speak on behalf of this article.
Okay. Good evening, Captain.
Hey, how are you doing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are we looking for our cruiser this year? What kind?
So it's a hybrid, same thing, Explorer. So all the Tauruses, I want to say Crown Vics for some reason, but the Tauruses, we lost 2 this year, 1 last year, so we're down to 10 vehicles now. So we went from 11 to 10. Right now, currently, we're at 9. 2 this year due to the underneath, just the salts kill them. Though they went 10 years though. We got those in 2013.
Is this the last year Ford's going to make those Explorers, or is they going to continue with those?
They're going to continue with this. Yeah, they're not getting out of the business. I know
How much for gas saving have you shown with you spending this year $15,000 or $18,000 for the hybrid?
How much gas savings have we
Yeah.
done through the hybrids? Well, we have 2 of them. It took us a while to get that last one on this year due to the upfitting cost. Well, coming in through the COVID and all that stuff. So I couldn't tell you. We still have gas powers.
Any other questions on police vehicle?
Me?
Paul?
No. So, need, want, desire. Which one of the 3 is it? Is it a need?
Oh yeah, it's a need.
Is the
Yes.
vehicle about to fall apart?
Which vehicle?
The one that you're going to replace? Or?
They're already gone.
Okay.
We had to take them
And
out.
if the answer came back, you can't do it, what happens?
Next year, it's going to be more vehicles. That's what it's going to have to. And then,
What is that?
so we got, right now, we have 4, I would have to look at it. We have 4 or 5 of them that are over 100,000. So we have 9 in the fleet. So if you average that out, we're looking at some vehicles that are getting that. So we do put them down, I mean, as we do it. So patrol ones have the newer ones. So they have the low mileage that's there. And then the higher mileage goes down the line to Detective Chief and myself. Well, except for the chief, he got that Tesla that was given to us.
Just a guy.
Thanks, Jeff.
Question? Any other questions? Sorry, questions?
I'm sorry, yes, no.
Yeah, don't you have a printout of those vehicles that you
Yeah,
preside?
it's in the budget book.
They have it? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Quick question, the 74,000, does that include complete upfitting?
Yeah.
So that
'Cause
you
we're taking
guys
it
get in, you guys get in the vehicle and off you go?
Yeah, that's everything.
Lights and everything.
And right now, we got rid of the Tauruses, so they have different stuff inside. It's a small vehicle, so we have to, we should be, by next year, that upfitting price should be coming down.
Is there anything that can come out of those, I'm assuming that you pulled whatever you could out of those Tauruses? Is
Yeah.
that sitting somewhere and maybe is gonna make up some upfitting for this vehicle?
Yeah, the radio, I believe, I don't know if the radio's, or we're upgrading radios too as we go along. And this is the last replacement for a radio.
About that data link or data?
The computers and all that stuff stay with it. They do transfer over.
They transfer over?
Yeah.
So the 74,000 is the stuff that won't transfer over, upfitting plus the vehicle?
Plus the vehicle.
Thank you. What would it be if you had to
Hold
upfit
on,
totally
please.
with radios and everything?
Well, radio, I believe, is in that, so the radios cost $6,000 right now, for one portable, one radio for the cruiser. And if we had to do computers and all that, MDTs,
Yeah.
there's grants for that, so we can offset that.
So we're talking somewhere around 90,
Could be,
80 to 90 grand.
Depending how much of the grant we could get.
Okay, thank you.
Matt?
Yeah, what's the breakdown in the fleet, Tauruses and Explorers?
Right now, we have 9 Explorers. Tauruses are all out. Yes,
Okay.
the last 2 went out this year. We had to drop 2 of them for safety reasons.
Did you receive any revenue from the 2?
Yes.
$400 apiece.
$400 a piece.
Okay.
It's not much. It's something. It's not much.
Question. What's the difference in the cost between a hybrid and a regular? And what are the advantages of one over the other? What have you seen with the use of them?
$4,000.
So it's $4,000 more for the hybrid than the regular
Than the
one.
gas.
Is it faster?
Gas powered is. There's no delay.
There's no delay.
There is a delay coming from the electric to the gas.
Okay, so gas powered's a little bit faster. The hybrid saves energy. Have you seen one needing more or less maintenance?
I haven't got there yet. The mileage wise, no.
Okay, because they're too new.
Yeah.
I just got a couple of questions. A couple of years ago, I called Conway PD, and they told me they had 24 full-time officers and 12 cruisers. Why do we need 11 cruisers?
We have 10 now.
But, so this is, you're gonna have 10 when this is replaced, this replacement? Okay, why do we need 10 cruisers?
That's what we believe the operation should be.
Why do I see someone driving up from Alton in the morning in a Wolfeboro cruiser?
That's a contract with the commissioners.
That's a what?
That's a contract with the commissioners.
To use, the use of cruisers out of town?
Yeah, that individually, yeah.
Okay. How about if I see one over in Brookfield?
If they work a midnight shift, they do get it to take home.
Okay, so the
We have
contract,
a take-home policy on that.
if the guys are midnight, he takes the car home?
What's that?
If the guys are midnight, he takes the car home?
Not every time, but
Okay.
when it's approved, yes.
So the person that uses the cruiser in Alton, that's part of a separate agreement with the police commissioners?
Correct.
Can you send us a copy of that agreement?
I can.
Believe you have
Actually,
that.
you have
MOU.
it. Yeah.
It's in the MOU?
Yeah.
Okay, because I thought we have captain, lieutenant, chief, and
That's correct.
That's the
and
lieutenant.
the
Lieutenant.
secretary. We've got that one then. Okay. Okay. Anyone else get to take a cruiser home besides the midnight person?
It all depends on the turnaround too, if they're in Wolfeboro and it's approved, yes.
Okay. Okay, any other questions for the captain?
To follow up on that question, then I assume that there's, on the instances where that occurs, that you or somebody will approve it
Yeah,
on
supervisor
an
can,
incident
yes.
by incident basis?
Yeah, supervisors can.
Thank you.
Where did this quote come from for this this cruiser?
I got it from, it used to be Rochester Ford, but it's McFarley Ford.
And that was based on the state bid, correct, Mark?
Yeah, very similar to the state bid, yes. They go with the same price. And then McGovern Ford told me about the gas difference, which they have some on the lot. And I did talk to the town manager about that.
Okay, so this one won't be where we'll be waiting 6 to 8 months to get it. They have it right on the lot itself.
They could, if McGovern Ford could have one on the lot. There is a possibility, I can't guarantee it.
Okay.
But the problem is your outfitting. That's usually our delay, is the ordering, because I can't order that prior.
Right.
Some of that electronic stuff takes a little while.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you for the Captain.
Thank you,
Appreciate it.
Captain.
So your next article is the Public Works Vehicle Equipment Replacement Capital Reserve Fund. This will be taken up on Wednesday evening by the Board of Selectmen and hopefully will be finalized. Same thing with the Building Maintenance Capital Reserve Fund and the Water Resources Non-Capital Reserve Fund. The Abenaki Ski Area Capital Reserve Fund, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $25,000 to be added to the existing Abenaki Capital Reserve Fund, which is under the custody of the trustee of trust funds with selectmen designated as agents to expend. Estimated tax rate impact on this for 2024 is 1 cent per thousand, recommended by the Board of Selectmen by a vote of 5-0. Anticipated capital reserve fund balance at the end of this year is $79,000. Chuck Smith is here to be able to speak on behalf of this article if you have questions.
Questions, Paul?
Do we have a spending plan for this? Let's assume it goes through, it's 100 grand. Do we have a spending plan for the 100 grand in 2024? If you do, and you attached it, I didn't find it, and I apologize. Do you have a spending plan?
No, I didn't have a spending plan. Other than the reserve fund itself. But we were trying to raise money for a groomer. That's what we had.
Yeah, what I'm trying to get to, just so I can be extremely clear, we're gonna have 100, let's assume this passes, there'll be $100,000 in the bank. What are you gonna spend it on?
The replacement of the groomer.
So why wouldn't we say, why wouldn't we ask for the incremental money to buy a groomer and add this to it? I don't know.
Because this capital reserve fund is for snowmaking equipment, rope for the tow, any equipment associated with operating ski area operations. That was the way that the warrant article was originally crafted.
So pardon my confusion. I asked you what it's for, and you said we're gonna replace the groomer.
Well, I mean, it's
Can we get a bill of materials that says, I'm gonna spend the money on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things in 2024?
the goal is not to spend anything in 2024, saving for a groomer.
Right.
Jim, we have a list that we provided that shows, projects everything out, I think till 2030. Talks about a new snowmobile, new groom, all that stuff. Is that still kind of effective?
It will be in the full presentation.
But we still have that plan going forward?
Yes, we do.
Yeah,
Okay.
correct.
Thank you.
So that plan has not changed?
No, I have this right here. This
No,
is,
but
this
I
is the
mean, that
reserve plan
that-
right here.
The
Yes.
plan that John refers to has not changed.
Right, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Do you have a copy of that, Paul?
If there is a copy,
It
I've
is
lost
not
it.
in your packet.
Okay.
No,
Okay,
you have
thank
not been given a recent copy this year.
The reason I bring it up, and it's not on you, there
No,
are
no, I
other
understand.
capital reserve funds that have $300,000+ in it, not been touched for, a long time. I just want to make sure if we're going to reserve capital, we know clearly when it's coming out to be spent. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense to reserve the capital unless there's a compelling reason to do it.
We've been doing that for a while, and those key things, and we have them just like all our other funds put out over X number of years.
Right.
Any other questions for them? Anti-scary capital reserve. Okay, seeing them, we'll move on.
Your next article is tree removal and replacement expendable trust fund. See if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $25,000 to be placed in the existing tree removal and replacement expendable trust fund, which is under the custody of the trustee of trust funds with the selectmen designated as agents to expend. Estimated tax rate impact for 2024, 1 cent per thousand of assessed valuation recommended by the Board of Selectmen by a vote of 5-0. Anticipated capital reserve fund balance at the end of this year is $36,000. Steve Randall, through the Department of Public Works, this year worked to remove a significant amount of trees through the downtown area. I want to say approximately $80,000 worth of work as we move forward. The goal is to continue with some tree removals and to as well plan some replacements in some of the parks where we've had to remove some trees. Steve can answer any questions that you may have beyond that.
Any questions concerning this article? Matt?
Yeah. I was wondering what happens to all the trees? Do they get sold or?
So they've all been taken up to our brush dump. They're stacked up there in log length. We have upwards of 100 cord up there at the moment.
It's a lot.
Yes, it is.
Isn't there a plan to do something with them?
We're working on it. We originally had talked with the Wolfeboro More Fund. They were gonna,
It's a lot to give out.
yep, and now we are just within today talking about other avenues to get rid of that for rods.
How much went to the More Fund?
They haven't taken any of it yet. It's not cut, it's not split.
Is there a plan to have people cut
Where-
and split it?
That has nothing to do with me, I guess, so we don't cut and split it as Public Works.
And once it's there, somebody can't come and cut it and
Correct.
split it? 'Cause
Correct.
it's on-
You know, I'm sorry?
Because it's log length, and have to bring a truck.
It's log length and plus liability on town property.
Can't have people cutting wood. on
Right,
that.
you know, you can't go up there on your own if it's my understanding if it is a town-sponsored thing, I guess, like the Wolfeboro More Fund, that they could do that. You couldn't go up and do it, I can't go do it.
So could the town find someone who would be interested in doing the work, someone who is licensed, insured, and whatnot, and say, go up and for every cord you split and put aside for charity use, you get one for yourself?
So I tried that, and it was a 3-to-1 ratio, not a 1-to-1 ratio. So there's, like I said, we just started today. There's some emails back and forth amongst us. We're gonna start to talk about something to do with that here shortly.
And some of these trees are ash trees?
Yes.
Prohibition on even disposing of them?
So you can burn it, you just
You
can't.
just can't cut it, split it, and
Take it
have
out
it
of
come off
town.
the property?
Correct.
Okay, good.
Yep.
And you've said, somehow identified
Yep.
those and put them over?
Those are off
the
to the side,
Okay,
yep.
Thank you.
Have you looked into cutting it and splitting it where it is? Not offering to have someone do it.
So
Bringing in,
we, what do
Bringing
you-
in a processing machine.
but who's gonna do it? You mean us as Public Works?
Yeah.
Why? We don't have the
Because what's
resources to
gonna
do
happen
it.
to it all?
Because
Another business they shouldn't get into.
we don't have the resources to do that. That's a lot of, exactly, it's a lot of work, it's a lot of manpower.
The county has a nice processing machine.
If somebody would like to come in and do it in conjunction with the town, I'm sure, you know, we would be happy to work something out. But as far as us getting a processor and me sending my guys up, that's not, you know, that's not.
I would think that a local logger would jump right on that by the truckload, taking it right out of there.
And that's where we're looking
Yeah,
at.
you know, the guy up in Camworth.
There's plenty around to, you know, it's finding the mechanism. Like I said, we just opened that door today.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna speak on it too much.
Okay, good, thank you. Any other questions?
Yeah.
All right.
Steve, how far down the road do you see this program being required? Is this going to be a yearly thing?
I think it's gonna be for the foreseeable future.
5 years, 10 years,
5 years, 10 years.
Okay.
Hemlock's in trouble now too.
I'm sorry?
Hemlock's in trouble now too.
How do we understand? I'm just, you know,
So
foreseeable
we,
future, so we're talking 5 to 10.
So for instance, we did from Pickering Corner down to Pleasant Valley Road. We went down Pleasant Valley Road. We did Springfield Point, Oakwood, and we spent $80,000. A couple in the parks, and that's 3 miles worth of road of 64. So
Okay.
just to get, now obviously there's more ash, different places and so on and so forth, or dead trees in general, but just to give you a rough idea.
Thank you.
Ask a question.
Yes.
How much of the funds are going to go towards replanting?
So right now, we've held back, what's 35,000 we have in there? And we're looking to do at least a dozen new trees in the spring between the parks. You know, a lot of the trees we took down obviously were out here. We're not looking to put anything back there now because of the construction that's coming in. That's just, there's no sense in putting them in to have them ripped back out again. So right now, we're trying to catch up on the dead and dying, replace where we can, and then hopefully this number will flip to, at some point, be more replanting than cutting.
And when do you foresee that?
A while.
When the trees stop dying.
Linda?
Yeah, in 2022, I think it was, we had a road, the roads evaluated for the trees, and there are 250 trees that should be removed as soon as possible. And anybody who wants to see that, is that on the website?
On the
Go to-
website and in this building.
Yeah, and you should take a look at it. It tells you a lot about
And
the
if you,
condition of our trees.
if you happen to go out and look, you'll see they're numbered. So they've got a little gold, like, pin on them. And if you have that book, you can open the book up and it'll tell you prune it, you know, cut it, or what needs to be done with it.
And it's
We
only a
did that
certain
book?
number of roads.
Excuse me?
Did we do that book, or did somebody pay somebody to do that for us?
Bartlett did it.
Okay.
You know, we paid Bartlett to do it.
Yes, Linda?
It is not all the roads in town, though.
No. It is only, it's pretty much just the downtown-ish area. Yeah, it doesn't go all the way out into any of the other roads.
There's a lot of trees. I mean, the headline is, there's a lot of trees.
There's a lot of trees,
Yes.
Okay, anything else on tree removal and replacement?
One quick question, John.
Yes, sir.
Sewell Road being a scenic road, how does that affect?
So if it's dead, we can take it. If it becomes a hazard, we can take it. If it's just because I want to cut it, I can't do that.
They gotta go to planning for it.
Right. We have to ask for
So
permission.
if-
We're good to up to 4 inches we can take without permission. Anything bigger than that, we have to ask. But if it's dying, dead, dying, or a hazard, it can go.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Okay, anything else? Move on then?
Okay, so your next article is municipal electric bucket truck replacement, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $400,000 for the purpose of replacing the 2014 municipal electric department MED3 bucket truck and associated equipment. The amount of $400,000 shall be funded from the Electric Enterprise Fund. This appropriation is non-lapsing pursuant to RSA 32.7, Roman numeral 6, and shall lapse on December 31, 2025, or upon completion of the project, whichever occurs first. This project shall be paid by the Electric Enterprise Fund and will not result in any increase in the tax rate. Estimated tax rate impact 2024, 0 cents per thousand of assessed valuation. This is recommended by the Board of Selectmen by a vote of 5-0. Barry Muccio is here to be able to speak on behalf of this article.
Any questions about the bucket truck? Seeing none, we'll move on.
Maplewood Highland Terrace water main installation, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $200,000 for the purpose of installing 800 feet of 8-inch water line between Maplewood and Highland Terrace. This appropriation is non-lapsing pursuant to RSA 32(7) Roman numeral 6 and shall lapse on December 31, 2025 or upon completion of the project, whichever occurs first. This project shall be paid by the Water Enterprise Fund and will not result in any increase in the tax rate. Estimated tax rate impact for 2024, 0 cents per thousand of assessed valuation. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen by a vote of 5-0. This is the section of Maplewood that we did not do any work on a couple years ago. This will take out a bleed that is open year-round, and it'll create a loop system to improve water quality in that area. Steve Randall and Rod Dempsey are here to answer any questions you may have on this topic. We did do core borings in this area, and there's no ledge, so we're in good shape there.
Implications to the road?
None.
None?
The new road?
Yeah.
None. Doesn't affect the new road.
You're going on the culvert side, or the ditch side?
Yep, no side.
Thank you.
Jim, will that go to bid? Will that go to bid?
Yes, our hopes of this will go out to bid in the spring and will be actually be ready to go pretty much when road bans come off.
We're looking to advertise it around March or April, the latest. Try to get somebody on board to do it. And to answer your question, Paul, if you go in Berrywood, come to the intersection, take a right and go up the hill. That section that wasn't paved wasn't touched. There's a junction right there.
You got, does this tie into hydrant replacements up there too?
So there will be a new hydrant on the end on Highland Terrace.
So it's not going to be a replacement, it'll be a net new hydrant up at the end?
Correct.
Got it. Thank you. Okay.
And this was identified and walked through with our rate consultants. We have made an adjustment to the rates, and this project was captured in it and is paid for as a result of the rates. So we're balanced.
How big would that pipe be?
8 inches in diameter.
You think $200,000 is going to be able to do that job?
So it's, most of it is cross-country, so there's very little paving.
Okay.
Very little paving. So that's, there's no road, no paving, so it's just pipe.
Okay. Thank you.
100-year life on the pipe, is that what it is, something like that?
So that's how long we use it.
And then 100-year life on the pipe, is that what's rated on?
Yeah, so that'll be C900, and that's 75 to 100.
75 to 100 years?
Okay, any more questions on Highland Terrace, Maplewood water main installation? Seeing none, we'll move on.
Wastewater treatment plant capital reserve funding, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $175,000 to be added to the existing wastewater treatment capital reserve fund, which is under the custody of the trustee of trust funds, with selectmen designated as the agents to expend this capital reserve fund. This appropriation will come from taxation. Estimated tax rate impact for 2024, 7 cents per thousand of assessed valuation, recommended by the Board of Selectmen by a vote of 5-0. This is so that we can continue to do maintenance and upgrades at the wastewater treatment plant. We will, in the coming years, see a capital project for a complete overhaul and upgrade of that facility. We're actually reviewing the basis of design report now. I just got feedback from our contracted engineer on that, and I've got to review it.
So is that, how much is in there right now? Do you have a rough estimate?
$7,000 after the commitments that have been made
After
this year.
everything. Just 175, all it's doing is keeping the system going as long as we can.
Yeah, so they actually had initially proposed 250,000. We cut this back to 200 and then to 175. We removed the fire alarm system out of it, security system out of it, and one other item that I cannot remember, but a set of valves in their aeration and blower system. And that was in consultation with the contracted engineer, contracted operator.
Do you have an idea of how long the current system will last before we really have to do everything over? Are we talking 5 years, 2 years, 3 years, or 10 years?
I would say within the next 5 years.
25, 30 million?
No, so the basis of design report, this is one of those weird areas. So the basis of design report comes back with a project for $12 million. We looked at that project at $12 million. We had the engineering firm look at it and say, okay, look, can we cut this thing back? There was some office space and garage space, and we wanted to get this cut back to a bare minimum rehabilitation project, thinking we're doing a good job here. We got this cut back to $6.5 million, I believe. Interestingly enough, when we cut that back to the $6.5 million, because of what we had removed from it, it was no longer eligible for state revolving loan fund and loan forgiveness. So we could do a $12 million project for about $6 million, or we could do a $6 million project for $6 million.
So not spending enough so you don't get a reimbursement. You
Correct.
spend more money? That's a good theory.
So we've got some decisions to make with the board in the future relative to this project.
Will this increase our capacity at all? Will this increase our capacity at all?
I do not believe so.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, Bob.
No, that's my bad. Jim, I think it's in the CIP for 2027, maybe? Somewhere, I don't know. Yeah,
I don't have the CIP in front of me,
yeah,
but that sounds about right.
I think that's what I...
And the way that would work is, you know, that project, if it gets funded, you know, we would get the project going, and then, you know, the debt would come on board in probably 28 or 29 upon completion of the project, which would be in alignment with when some of the sewer debt begins to fall off.
Any other questions?
Just a comment?
Yes, sir.
It is in 2027.
Thanks, Bob.
Yep.
Okay, let's move on to South Main Street, Center Street, just Smith River Bridge sewer engineering.
Okay, so you're well aware that, most people should be well aware at this point, this summer there's a project that'll be taking place replacing the water line through South Main Street in this same section. This originally came forward in a complete street project which involved water, sewer, and stormwater. It was determined that there is no way that can feasibly be done. So the engineers have broken this out into 3 distinct projects. So here we are. We're teeing ourselves up to do the engineering so that we can score higher on the state aid grant and loan forgiveness for this project, which we're hoping to be able to do in the 25 to 26 timeframe. So the article reads, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $200,000 for the purpose of engineering and replacement sewer line for South Main Street at Pickering Corner to the Smith River Bridge. This appropriation is non-lapsing pursuant to RSA 32.7, Roman numeral 6, and shall lapse on December 31, 2025, or upon completion of the project, whichever occurs first. Estimated tax rate impact for 2024, 8 cents per thousand of assessed valuation, recommended by the Board of Selectmen by a vote of 5-0. This is just engineering to get us lined up to continue improvements in the downtown area and complete that complete streets project. Steve Randall's here to answer any questions that you may have related to this project.
What are the questions, Paul?
Steve, what's your thinking, I know it's engineering, what's your thinking on what the route of this thing is going to be? It's going down past Dumps?
No. No,
Where's
it's
it
going
going?
the same way, it's going from Pickering Corner down to the bridge, just like the water.
So it's going through downtown?
Yes,
Okay. They're going to open the street?
yes.
Okay. In the middle of the summertime?
No, it's gonna be, we'll work it the same way we're doing the water,
I got it, okay. I got it.
spring and fall.
And then will there be something on the other side of the bridge?
Eventually, that's down the line.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Question? This 200,000 is only for the sewer line, or is the engineer?
Just for the
That's just engineering.
Just, I know.
Yes, yeah, just for engineering of the sewer.
So the engineering for the water line
Is already
separate.
done.
Excuse me?
It's already done.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, we did that last year. So that's just about done. We're at 90% right now, waiting for approval. That'll go out to bid. The water project will go out to bid in January-ish for hopefully for an April start.
Okay, thank you.
Just,
What's the year that this is gonna be done?
So the construction on this will start in '25. So we'll do, so we did, just to back it up, we did water engineering in '23 for '24 construction. We're gonna do sewer engineering in '24 for '25 construction. Then we'll do complete streets engineering in '25 for '26 construction. That's perfect world.
Are you communicate with the state about their projects when they're gonna do the roundabout, whatever they wanna do?
Yes, the best we can, but that's still up in the air, and that's from there down.
It won't be from, you wanna start
They're gonna
down
be
here,
at the
right?
corner right, but by the time we get to our complete streets, where we start, all we're doing is sidewalks and paving. So they're not coming down.
Yeah.
That's where we meet right there.
The state project goes from Pickering out to high school.
Correct.
That
We're
direction.
going from
This is
Pickering
going
down.
Pickering down to
So
downtown.
we'll be in the intersection, tying in the utilities ahead of them. So they won't be putting a new roundabout in, and we're not tearing it up until you put in water and sewer.
Okay. An estimate of what do you think that's gonna cost?
The sewer?
Yeah.
Probably 3 million. I think that's what I had in.
And that'll be in
I don't have it with me.
2025.
I think it's three to four. I'm sorry?
And what's in there now, Steve?
For what?
Facility.
Very old. Yes.
Leaky old stuff?
Leaky old stuff. Yeah. Yes, original pipe.
Jim, will that be paid by taxpayers, or will that be a part of the road?
So if I remember correctly, in the state aid grant, this was projected at 4.2 million. And obviously, if we get state aid grant, they may pay up to 50% of the project. If we don't do this engineering and we have to do the whole project on ourselves, it's going to be on our back full 100%. So we're hopeful to get 50% loan forgiveness. We actually scored better on the water line and actually scored a little higher loan forgiveness for the water project, correct, Steve?
Yes.
60%, not
Yep.
50.
Do we know going into the project whether we've got the 50%? What do we have to put the money up front and then get it?
We don't know. When this engineering is done for next year, we'll have a better idea of where it's scored on the list.
Okay.
This year it scored really rather low because it was not a terribly engineered project.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, let's move on.
Next, Steve.
Parks and Recreation tractor, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $100,000 for the purpose of purchasing a Parks and Recreation tractor with attachments. Estimated tax rate impact for 2024, 4 cents per thousand of assessed valuation, recommended by the Board of Selectmen by a vote of 3-2. This is a tractor that the Department of Public Works is in, or excuse me, Parks and Recreation is in much need of. They have no good piece of equipment for larger piece of equipment for working around the arena. And they're looking for the purposes of getting a piece of equipment so that they can remove snow, work in the cemeteries, work at their beaches, and be able to take care of the properties which Parks and Rec are responsible for taking care of. Christine's on vacation, but Bo Betts is here to be able to answer questions that you may have on this topic.
Why don't you come on up, Bo? Thank you. Thanks for coming in tonight.
Of course.
I guess the question I have is, you mentioned the Pop Whalen Arena.
Yes.
Why do we need that? It looks like they're the same kind of roof that we've had there for the past 40 years. Why suddenly do we have to move the snow away from the...
So I think the pitch of the roof is a little different than the old roof. So last year with our first snow that came through, we saw a tremendous amount of snow coming off the roof, where I'm sure you're all familiar with the side of the building. All those parking spaces, thankfully, were blocked off by maintenance staff. All the snow came off the roof, covered all those spaces, which are crucial to both Abenaki and Pop Whalen when they're open. Could have caused tremendous damage to the vehicles if there were any parked there at the time. Working on a plan so that doesn't happen. You know, staff will be vigilant this year with, if there is a heavy snow load on the roof, we'll make sure that, you know, we're blocking those spots off so people don't park there. But with that said, all that snow coming off, you can't move it with a snow blower. Essentially turns into concrete. So a tractor would be crucial to getting that lot cleared, pushing snow back, moving snow from that area into different spots of the parking lot.
Question?
Yeah, go ahead.
So no snow guards are on the roof because the roof pitch couldn't, or the roof itself couldn't support the snow?
We actually are in consultation with the manufacturer of the building for the installation of snow guards.
Okay. Because I thought the original conversation...
There is concern about the footers.
There was a concern about putting snow guards, the roof couldn't support it. And then those exits or entrances or whatever they are on the side of the building, those fire entrances, safety exits?
There's one emergency exit. The other, I'm trying, starting from the front of the building, that's an exit for the general public. And then you have two other exits that are within the rink itself, again, for general public. As you work down the building, there's an emergency exit, then you have the Zamboni door, where the Zamboni's coming in and out, and then there is a door for maintenance to come in and out.
Okay.
What else do we have for questions? I've got a couple more.
Okay.
Go ahead, Bobby.
So currently, what are you doing in the cemeteries and all those other uses that were mentioned? What are you using right now?
Nothing. Most of the time, if we need a piece of equipment, we'll have to rent it, which could be problematic. Sometimes the equipment isn't available. We have to wait for it to be available. If there were to be an emergency, having this tractor, we'd be able to get the job done right away instead of waiting and coordinating. We have borrowed equipment from Highway in the past, but that is, you know, a problem as well. The equipment isn't always available. It's hard to coordinate and make sure we can find time for the equipment. So it's kind of a waiting game.
Who currently plows the parking lot right now?
Our maintenance staff plows the parking lot. We have one plow truck.
So with this tractor, does another employee, do we need another employee
No.
on this tractor?
Nope. We have 4 full-time maintenance workers, and all 4 of them could operate a tractor.
John, question?
Yes, sir.
Does this include a trailer for the tractor? So you can transport it?
No,
So you have that now?
we do not have a trailer. It would be able to drive it on the roads.
Okay, so you
Yep.
drive it from site to site?
Yes.
Question?
Yes, sir.
So there are some obvious advantages to some non-winter services.
Absolutely. Beaches,
Cemetery work.
cemetery, beaches. Currently, we have a one-ton dump truck. We have a wonderful group at Cary Beach who do a lot of cleanup down there. And we are down there weekly picking up piles.
Sure.
That debris is wet, it's heavy, it's hard to move. So we have guys loading it into wheelbarrows, trash cans, loading it into the dump truck. You have to have somebody in the dump, reaching over, pulling it over. It's a lot of work.
Short straw gets in the dump truck, right?
So,
Thank you.
yep.
Paul, did you have a question? No. Mr. Randall, can you come up here for a minute? Mr. Randall, can you come up here for a minute? how about helping save us about $90,000 and have your guys go over there and move the snow? Can you do that for us?
So we do go over after storms and push back. We've done that since before I've been here. So I don't think that's so much of an issue. I can't guarantee we can do it during a storm or things like that,
Right.
so I don't know what their schedule would be for that.
But you're available to go over and do that?
We can certainly, yeah, we certainly push back now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know why we need this. I've been in this town my whole life, and I don't know why suddenly we need a tractor to go do the cemeteries and pick up the stuff from the beach. $90,000, I'm dumbfounded why we have to spend that kind of money for a tractor. Especially this time of year, the way things are going. I would hope that we could share equipment between other departments.
So we do share. We share quite often. But to Bo's point, and I can't say how it was done before I got here.
Yeah.
I can't speak to that. I think it was probably more available to them before I got here, based on how we maintain our stuff now, our roads, our shoulders, and our other areas. We use that tractor a lot in the summertime for mowing, for raking. So I think from what I gather, it used to be available a lot more because it used to sit. It doesn't. None of our stuff sits in there. So I think that's probably a lot to it. They know they're welcome to it whenever it's available. It's in use all the time.
What's that one that you want to get rid of? This one over there, an old Ford or something, right?
Yes, that's the one that they use. That's the one they've used. They have it now for.
They're using that now?
They have it now, yes. They always had it in the winter. The problem is that is going away. That's getting shelved next year. It's beyond.
Can't you give it to them to use?
It's beyond repair.
Come on. Nothing, a diesel beyond repair?
It's not, the motor isn't so much the issue. So Ben just glued that thing back together a week ago.
What year is that thing?
That is a 2000, so it's 23 years old.
They're gonna be traded in, or?
Yes, that's the goal. We looked at it, I believe they had somebody look at it as well. It's worth about a bag of balls at the moment.
What's that, like 15 grand?
What, that, no.
No.
It's worth probably 4 at best.
And I think just for one thing this summer, and Steve can attest to this, with the storms that we had, there were a lot of washouts on the beaches. They were out busy trying to repair roads. We had washout at Ollie Beach, 4 or 5 feet deep. Myself and Christine were over there shoveling sand, trying to fill these holes in, kind of coning it off and roping it off until, someone from Highway could come over, but they were busy. So having that equipment, we'd be able to get the job done and not have to wait.
So we can get rid of all your rental fees and your budgets, the recreation budgets, all the rental fees can be gone? No.
Well, we don't have any rental fees
Don't
in our
have
budget.
at all?
No.
Okay.
No.
So how did you
You
rent
have
the
outside
equipment?
services though.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Bob, did you have anything else? Anyone else have anything?
Question?
Yes, sir.
Was there an ask to get a lease price for this tractor? Did I?
I think we asked that for the one that Steve's getting was the lease price.
There was no ask for the Parks and Rec tractor?
I don't think we were aware of this until tonight, at least I wasn't aware of it.
See, I was, and my surprise, and I'm not trying to be critical, I'm just making an observation. My surprise was we've run out of options. This is how I process, I could be wrong. Paul, we've run out of options for plowing snow. We can't, not a question to depend, but we got to run the arena. Highways got to get the highways plowed, and we've run out of options. I'm now hearing that maybe we haven't run out of options. That's all. I'm just making that observation.
How big is this tractor? How many horses is this tractor? Is it a cab tractor?
Yes, it is.
65. We spec'd out a 65, which is comparable to what the New Holland is now. Anything much bigger than that, they can't get it through Albee Beach and down into those things. So it's
65 horses is a lot.
because physically it's not that big. It's it's that tweener size of if you go much smaller than that for what they want to do, they're gonna have a 5-foot wide bucket. So it's got a 72-inch bucket on it. It's spec'd out well. I did work with Christine and Jimmy. It is spec'd out well. They did get you did get a lease options and
Yes.
and I know you got lease options, you got purchase options. I know this because I worked with Christine on her numbers to be able to answer your questions when they come up on my stuff.
Is it, what make, model is this?
So, sorry.
No, go ahead. You know more about it than I do.
It's a Kubota. Yeah.
It's a Kubota,
Yeah.
York rake, bush hog, what else are we getting on?
So I'm not sure what they spec'd on it. I think they did a York rake, a set of forks for now.
Snow blower.
Snow blower? Yeah.
Did they price this out with any other dealers on the Kubota?
Yep, they did. They went to John Deere, which was,
Awful.
yes, correct. So Kubota is working well. We bought the Kubota excavator from them this year, so they are very eager to work with us on things. I'm pricing the skid steer. I'm shopping it everywhere, obviously, but Kubota's come in drastically less than everybody. So they are trying to. I've also been selling the fact that I have 2 skid steers at the dump that need to get replaced in the next few years. So we're trying to build that, the relationship with the dealer, number one, a continuity of dealership across the fleet for maintenance wise, where it's unifying everything as much as we can within budget purpose.
And I appreciate that. Did anyone try Coyote?
I personally did not reach out to Coyote.
I just say that, I did this year, so I had to do a little homework before I bought
Yeah.
mine. And you go Kubota, and then John Deere, forget it, I tried it.
Yeah.
It was 3 times, but Coyote's a pretty good tractor. And I got 0%.
Mm-hmm.
I have one more question.
Go ahead, Bobby.
So I'm just curious what it would do to drive a tractor to Albee Beach from Abenaki. What does that do to the life of the tractor? You said you're going to drive it from place to place.
Right. I don't know a lot about tractors, so I don't know if I
I
can
mean, all
answer
that
that.
mileage, Steve, what do you think is going to happen with putting all that mileage on a tractor, driving it around town?
I wouldn't recommend it, I guess. Not to, sorry.
No.
I think it should probably be trailered. I think that's a much better option to prolong it.
Is it trailer sharing?
Of course.
I mean, is that possible? Is it, like, you have
Yes.
enough trailers in the town that
Well,
they-
we have one that would haul that. Yeah. We have multiples, but ones that they could use.
I made a
The truck
suggestion.
Can the truck haul that?
Yes.
The dump truck?
Yes.
I made a suggestion at the Board of Selectmen meeting that we do a $50,000 capital reserve fund for it 1 year and then purchase it after $50,000 next year. Break it up just because of where we are right now with our budget.
John?
Question?
Yes, sir. Sorry. Go ahead, Brian.
Steve, you said you've got, one of your tractors now is being housed at Pup Whaling, and that's one that's going to be traded in.
Correct.
How many other comparable tractors does it,
That's the only one.
that's the only,
And so for what we do, I'm phasing out of the tractor. I'm going to the skid steer, the track skid steer. That my proposal is to split it with the water department. That's a multi-use machine for both of us, more so than I need the rubber tires. Because we bought, the smaller loader that we bought this year is doing a lot of the things that New Holland used to do. But that's a $180,000 loader.
okay, so there's no other older piece of equipment that could be,
No, that's the only quote hand-me-down machine in the town that would fit that bill, and it breaks down a lot.
Paul?
I'm a little confused, but that's not unusual. We either need a tractor or we don't. That's the first decision I would take. And we need a tractor because there's no other option to have somebody else come and help us out. I was, incorrectly I'm sure, I was of the understanding that we don't have the ability to have somebody else come and help us out. So that takes me down the next path that says we either buy one or we borrow one, or lease one. And those 3 options have resulted in a buy one. And Brian, I would, with respect, I would disagree if my premise is right. Waiting another year when you need one now is not a good idea because you don't have any alternatives if the stuff comes off the roof and you block an emergency exit. But now, what I'm hearing in this conversation is, well, we may be able to borrow one, get some help. So I'm kind of backing away from this, saying I need a little more clarity on this.
Well, if you're asking me as far as helping them, so what we do now is after the storms, we go in there with loaders and we push all the snow piles back. So every machine that we have has a dedicated run. So if it's a matter of stuff coming off the roof, which I didn't go up there last year, I didn't witness it, I'm not sure. So if it's a matter of them calling in the middle of a snowstorm because their Zamboni is stuck, that's going to take a bit because we have 2 loaders downtown and we have the other one that's plowing around the shed and loading all the trucks. So he would be the one to run up there in between loading all the trucks. So it's not a matter of we're right there.
I got you.
Storms all over, we're doing cleanup everywhere. I got 2 loaders downtown, we're loading snow out around Bradley's. We can send one up, push the snowbanks back, no big deal.
So that brings me back to, we need one, because, if something happens and if the safety exits are blocked and the Zamboni can't get out the door, that's a problem. We could ask somebody downtown, drive all the way up and fix the situation. That doesn't make a bunch of sense, at least to me. And so, again, Brian, with respect, I would say, well, if you need one, socking away 50 grand now and 50 grand later is rolling the dice, hoping we don't get any big snowstorms this year, which, based upon where we are, we may not. But, okay, thank you.
But saying that, Paul, we needed one
Hold
last year.
on, please. Bob,
So,
Brian.
what's the difference last year, this year, next year?
Thank you. Hold on, please.
I see that was recommended by the Board of Selectmen by a vote of 3-2, which is a split vote, and I would expect it to be a split vote on this committee. I know I would vote for it. And I'm just wondering if another way to approach this would be 25% paid for by the enterprise fund and 75% by taxation. So taxation would only be $75,000 in that. I don't know if that was discussed at all, but it seems like the principal use for this machine is to keep the hockey rink clear. And then you describe all these other things you're doing with it, but I just thought I'd throw that out there.
John?
Yes, sir.
I think Bob's on the right track, and I think you're on the right track, because if we are trying to improve the use of that hockey rink, obviously, from what it was. We've got a major league program going for all these different hockey programs that are going to be going on, other things during the summertime. So it seems to me that if we don't do something, Steve's going to be getting more phone calls than he used to get, because you've got programs to run that you weren't previously been running. So it sounds to me like this is more of a need than it would have been a year ago or 2 years ago. Am I phrasing that right?
We identified a need for this tractor last year, and it was pushed down the road.
In conjunction with the upcoming activity that's going to be at the Pop Whalen Arena, or?
I think the maintenance staff has always had a need for some sort of equipment.
Sure.
If we need something and it's not available through highway, then we're renting one. That's $250, $300 a day. You need it for longer than that, $3,000 a month.
Okay, but it becomes more critical now that you're running
Correct.
more active programs.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want to be stuck in a snowdrift. Neither do the people that are inside playing hockey and they come outside. Oops.
Right. We on a Saturday, if there's a ski race going on, Pop Whalen's open, we're sending people to the Nick. We have a shuttle. We're shuttling people back and forth. So if we lose 10 spaces because we can't use the snow, then...
Okay. Bob, is this in the CIP?
I'm sorry?
Is this in the CIP?
This is for a time I've seen.
$100,000, shouldn't it be in the CIP?
It was not in the CIP, in answer to your question. So, yes, it should have been. If it was known at the time the CIP came out this year, we should have probably been there, but it wasn't.
I think they started out at under 100,000 initial
Yeah.
discussions, which is probably why it's not.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
I would also add that this did graze by this committee last year. We pulled it back, and the reason we pulled it back was to evaluate whether or not there could be some sharing which could take place between the Department of Public Works and Parks and Recreation. In April, they began to have those conversations. They had a couple conversations throughout the summer, and it was determined that the volume of usage between the two agencies required two distinct tractors. With that said, about 3 years ago, there was a conversation about the mowing of the water lines and the fact that we were continually contracting that out because Mr. Ford wanted to buy a tractor at that point. We decided not to, and then when they determined that it would not work well between Parks and Rec and Highway, Steve and the Water Department determined that between the two of them they could make it work so that they could do the mowing that they need to at the water treatment plant, as well as have a piece of equipment there to help with snow removal, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So they did work together to try to come up with the best efficiency that they possibly could, but it was determined that the amount of usage required by the two agencies really requires two tractors. Would that be an accurate statement, Steve and Bo?
Yes.
Thanks for that, Jim.
So between the two, we're just short of a little over $200,000 for two tractors for the taxpayers, correct? Is that about the amount?
150, because 50,000 of that is to the Water Enterprise Fund.
Okay. So about 150 then.
That's correct.
Could we go a little bit higher in percentage charge to Pop Whalen than the 25% that Bob mentioned? Is that something you would consider? What Bob mentioned about 25% going to Pop Whalen for moving this snow?
I mean, I guess I would have to take that back to the Board of Selectmen for consideration.
Okay. Okay, what's next? Anything else on Parks and Rec tractor purchase?
I support that, because most of the conversation we just had here, if you think about it, was clearing the snow that happens to be in front of the skating rink, and just...
Yeah, I'm not going to support that as written. So you guys can do whatever you want to do.
Thanks, sir.
Okay.
So am I taking that back to the Board of Selectmen to reconsider?
You can do whatever you want to do, Jim. I'm just making a statement. I'm not supporting it as written. I don't know how the other members feel.
John?
Yes, sir.
Jim, I think that would be a good idea.
I do too.
You know, I threw the 25,000 out there, but if it goes back to the select board, if they choose to discuss it, obviously I think they will come up with a reasonable number.
Sure.
So I would say yes, please.
That's what I was saying.
So I, instead of me just arbitrarily taking it back to the Board of Selectmen, I would like a vote from this committee asking for it to go back.
Okay, I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
I made the motion. Yeah, wait a minute. Brian, you're in charge of keeping him.
He's got to do me too.
Okay. My motion will be to not accept the current writing for the Parks and Recreation tractor purchase, current warrant article, as written. Any seconds? Matt,
Second.
you on board for that one? Okay.
Yeah.
Any further discussion?
John?
Yes, sir.
Just that wording, I'm willing to accept the way it's written. I'm suggesting, I threw that suggestion out there, hoping that it might go back to the select board. So I'm just a little leery about your language on this.
I'm perfectly fine. It's a second, right? So we're in flight here on this motion?
Yes.
Okay.
So Bob, my interpretation of this, and I don't know what John's going to do, is don't like what you got. There's probably going to be another one coming forward that says, rethink how the allocation of the funds would be? Or are you just saying don't?
Well, John said, motion to not accept this language, I believe, and I'm willing to accept it the way it is. I threw the suggestion out that we reduce it, so that's why I'm a little sketchy about that.
Got it, I understand your point.
Should we move your motion and?
It's been seconded.
Motion?
Oh, John made his
John,
motion, so.
that's what I'm gonna.
I'm hoping that from the discussions that Jim and the select people that are here have kind of got the flavor of what we'd like to ask them to consider.
I will take care of it.
Okay, that's, we'll do a roll call, please.
Hold, John, on the motion, did you say you'll take care of it without a motion, or?
I'll take it back to the Board of Selectmen. I just think procedurally it would make sense to have some specificity from the Budget Committee saying this is being sent to back to the Board of Selectmen for reconsideration with the recommendation that a portion of this purchase be allocated to the enterprise fund.
I like that language.
Well, I think that was better than your motion, John.
I think that was better than John's motion, too.
So if they come back with 2% allocation, you're okay with that?
No, I'd want a little more clarity that says 30, 40%. Put a number in.
Pull the plug.
At least a third.
I'll withdraw my motion.
I withdraw my
your
second.
I'll make a new motion. Concerning the Parks and Recreation tractor purchase, that this would be sent back to the selectmen for consideration of assigning 40% as a start to the Pop Whalen Fund.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion?
Can you just clarify it's the enterprise fund?
Pop Whalen
Enterprise.
Enterprise Fund.
Are we anticipating that the use of the tractor would be utilized 40% at least by Pop Whalen, and, you know, Parks and Rec is 60?
Well, they're open from when, basically, when does Pop Whalen open up? October till May?
Ground maintenance around, you know, I'm sure that.
That's a good split. It's a decent split.
It's snow. Yeah, it's.
The beaches are open when?
May
Beaches are open.
May to September?
That'd be about right, though.
But isn't that parking that whole area also Abenaki?
Sure.
So, and then you're going to use it all, whenever we have snow, and how often do we have snow? Okay? And all the rest of the time is not it being used in all the other areas of Park and Rec. That's my concern.
Come up with a different methodology.
John?
Yes, sir.
May I suggest a modification of your 40% to a minimum of 25?
I can live with the 40%. And if they want to bring it back a different way, then we can discuss it then.
Yeah, John, can I speak to that too?
Sure.
I agree with John. I mean, yeah, like, you know, we're kind of pulling a number, you know, someplace just to get the conversation going. The Board of Selectmen says, listen, we've done diligence on this. It should be 28.62. Fine, we'll look at that. Now, having said that, we all know that the Pop Whalen Enterprise Fund in no way is showing a surplus. But the Pop Whalen Enterprise Fund in no way is showing a surplus, even with 87% of the debt for the Pop Whalen Ice Arena build being carried by the general taxpayer. So there's no way that this is going to be paid for other than by general taxation. However, I am fully supportive of the concept that you assign costs where they are incurred. And so I think it's a good idea for us to have a conversation that says 40% ought to go there. If the Board of Select people say, we think you're nuts, it ought to be a different number, great. But I support John's motion, and I will vote for it.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, Leanne, can you read the motion, please? Thank you.
It was moved by John McDonald to send back the Parks and Recreation tractor purchase warrant article to the Board of Selectmen for consideration of assigning minimum 40% to the Pop Whalen Enterprise Fund.
Okay, everyone understand it? Not seeing any more discussion. Can we please do a roll call vote?
Bobby Budman?
Yes.
Bob Tupper?
Yes.
John McDonald?
Yes.
Bob Mulholland?
Yes.
Brian Black?
Yes.
Matt Clash?
Yes.
Bob Lohman?
Yes.
Paul O'Brien?
Yes.
And Brian DeShays.
Yes.
Zero.
Passed unanimously?
Yes.
Thank you. Do you have any questions, Jim, on what we're, nothing? Okay, thank you. Move on.
The next article is an used ambulance purchase that's being considered tomorrow by the Board of Selectmen, excuse me, Wednesday. Historical Society lease is non-financial, and the pump station reauthorization. Whereas the Mill Street Sewer Pump Station has an anticipated 400-day build time, and the Laner Street Sewer Pump Station has an anticipated 300-day build time, will the town vote to reauthorize warrant Article 17 of the 2023 warrant, which states to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $648,000 for the purpose of paying for increased cost of engineering, equipment, construction, and inspections on the Laner and Mill Street sewer pump stations. This appropriation is non-lapsing pursuant to RSA 32(7), Roman numeral 6, and shall lapse on December 31, 2024 upon completion of the project, whichever occurs first. This will be paid from state aid grant in the amount of $648,000 over the next 5 years from the RIB project and will result in no tax rate impact. This appropriation is non-lapsing pursuant to RSA 32(6) and shall lapse on December 31, 2025 or upon completion of the project, whichever occurs first. No estimated tax rate impact for 2024. This was approved by the Board of Selectmen by a vote of 5-0. This simply boils down to the fact that we have got the one bid open. We're in the process of awarding the contract. That project has a 300-day build time. After January 1, we'll be awarding the next project, and that has an excess of 400-day build time. And we don't want to overexpend these budgets, and pretty straightforward. Questions regarding this?
Any questions? Seeing none, we'll move on.
Your next article is Jockey Cove Engineering. The Board of Selectmen will vote on that on Wednesday night.
Thank you. Thanks, Jim.
So these are all the warrant articles we're going to see.
Unless, well, I actually received a couple today that I've got to take in front of the board.
Are they money ones?
I do not believe they're money.
Petition?
And what, John?
Money warrant articles.
I
that we
do
have
not
to
believe
deal
they're
with.
petition. I believe they're requests from other agencies.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's it on, anyone have any questions on any of the warrant articles? Okay, let's move on. What else, Jim, would you like to deal with?
I believe the next item, I don't know if you want to deal with revisits or the DRA letter.
Want to do some revisits? We have any revisits that we need to deal with?
I spoke with Tom Zotti, who was unavailable to attend this evening, and asked if he could address the emergency management.
I can address that.
Okay, on the 28th, in addition to the lease purchase.
So-
But that's not been before the Board of Selectmen.
Correct.
Yeah.
So the Board of Selectmen did vote to approve $2,700 for the update to the town's emergency operations plan. That would be in budget, emergency management, 42900.
So, the radio, that's a follow-up that Chief Zotti's going to bring forward, or?
Well, that's contemplated as a lease purchase, and whereas the Board of Selectmen are the ones who have to sign off on a lease purchase, it's going for them Wednesday night for consideration.
Can I, John, can I ask a question about that? Was there this goes back when I was sitting over on that side of the roof. Was there a task group or a bunch of people that were to get together and figure out whether we should do a group purchase with Motorola? Was that an ask? Do you remember? Anybody? Don't remember? Jim, do you remember any of that?
I had a conversation with staff regarding that. Staff came back and said that it was not a feasible option.
And they're all using Motorola radios, right?
I
think, right? Steve
assume
uses
so.
Motorola's and PD Motorola and fire department Motorola. Do they know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it was, again, we'll just reflect on it. You guys will be talking about it this week. But I thought I remember that there was a request to kind of just do a group purchase, figure out if it made sense, and then it kind of went, didn't go more. Okay, thanks, Jim. How about that?
And then the same thing with the tractor lease for Public Works and the Water Department. That's going to the Board of Selectmen tomorrow night, where they're the ones who have to sign off on leases.
Got it.
So, is it, since they're gonna sign off with it, is that what we're going to do? Is that projected what we're going to do is these?
Do you want my opinion?
No, of course.
So my opinion is, where it remains with the radios, no, don't do it.
Okay.
Regarding the tractor, no, don't do it, buy it. And it was because it went through the CIP process, and that CIP process identified 50% through water, 50% through solid waste, or highway, excuse me. So based on those matrices, I'm recommending to the Board of Selectmen that they continue with the outright purchase, but they do have the lease information, which was provided to me by both Chief Zoddy and Steve Rendell.
Can you share the lease information on the tractor with us, what might possibly be per month or whatever?
Was it 6.25%, Steve, or something like that? Over the term of the lease, it was like an additional $18,000.
This is the $95,000. Is that the one we're talking about? 95 grand?
Yeah, the ones in the capital.
All right, so a couple of the first things. So if you look at that sheet, which sparked the question the other day,
Right.
you see how it has municipal discount?
Mm-hmm.
Soon as we go to lease or finance, that's gone.
That goes away.
That goes away. The 0% for 36 months, the 199 for 60 months, those are gone at the end of the year. The updated interest rates are anywhere from 627 to 647. So at a lease rate, so here's one option, 5-year lease. Payments for the first 5 years are $14,000 with a $25,000 buyout. The interest is through the roof. We'll end up paying $135,000, $140,000 for that.
And lose your discount.
And lose the discount. So you're almost talking.
Right.
So just, I think we discussed this the other night. So they're leasing you this piece of equipment for the same unit price and just turning it out for 5 years?
Correct.
Versus giving the opportunity to buy that at the same unit price right up front.
Correct.
So they're making the 6.5%, that 18,000 or some portion of that 18,000 on us if we buy it day one. So the unit price quantity one, day one is probably too high.
No.
No,
The unit price is the unit price right now.
probably too high.
No, that's with our discount. That is not too high. If we lease it, then your unit price, your initial price is going up. On this particular machine,
Or the price goes up.
$8,600. As soon as we decide that I want to lease from you,
I see.
you're going to charge me $8,600 right off the top.
I misunderstood and I
Yep.
apologize. So they're saying the price goes up $8,600 if you decide to lease it,
Day one.
day one.
Then you have the 6.5% interest
I got it.
from there.
Okay, any other questions on the leasing? Okay, last visit I think I have is
Thank you.
library, water and sewer.
Yep, Allison and Brody are here to be able to speak on behalf of this revisit.
So mine was an adjustment on water and sewer. I spoke with the water and sewer department, and we came up with new numbers. So for water, it's 641 for 2024 and 854 for 2024.
Sewer 854.
Yes.
Okay.
I do have this. I do not know where the original formula came from, but I worked with the department to make sure that it was correct.
I think we determined that it was established when the first year of the library, and then was just carried forward.
So this is a 3-year average, number 5.
Okay, do we have to correct one of the lines here, 2 of the lines, or are they okay?
Yep, nope, she's, so it would be appropriate to do a motion to decrease 01455000412, which is water, from 1241 to 641.
I'll make that motion. Second.
Okay, any other discussion? Seeing that the motion is to decrease line 412 water in the library account down to $641. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And the next motion would be to increase the library 413 sewer line from 682 to 854.
Make that as a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Not hearing or seeing any, the motion is to reduce, increase line 413 sewer in the library budget to $854. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Just one quick thing, John.
Yes, sir.
These rates, do they reflect the most recent rate increases? They do. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in.
Sure.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Get a long way to go.
We're going to do a motion concerning the $2,700 for emergency management.
Has it increased, John?
I'm trying to find the line to see where it is.
So if you would like to increase emergency management, it's a new line item, 0142990-380 outside services from 0 to 2,700.
And that's the one that's all be approved by the selectmen and supported by them.
Yes, and it was originally spoke of as a $3,000 ask, and it was decreased to 2,700 by the company.
What was that line item again?
0142990-380.
On page 14 under the fire section.
I'll make a motion to have that line read $2,700.
Any second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none and hearing none, increase, one more time on the line, please.
0142990-380 outside services from 0 to $2,700.
42990.
42900 for emergency management.
That's probably correct.
Okay.
42900.
Everyone understand the motion? Okay. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Does anyone have any other revisit items currently this evening? Okay. we'll move on. What's next, Jim?
I believe the next item would be your letter regarding Department of Revenue. So, this afternoon, we held a meeting with the Board of Selectmen regarding the letter for Department of Revenue to consider potential over expenditure of the 2023 budget. A few items just would like to go over. First of all, when we developed when the Pop Whalen project was under development, it was fast moving, a lot of parts coming together in a very short period of time. We were able to get a project passed. When that project went in front of the voters and was passed, we had an initial operating memorandum of understanding which contemplated engineering and architectural services. When the warrant article passed, we had to quickly transition into construction MOU and the methodology in which the funds would come in to the town as a result of the warrant article passing. Couple of items with that. When we developed that warrant article, we really should have probably had different language in there reflecting when those funds would be coming into the town of Wolfeboro. We did not have that. That did not get caught by myself. That did not get caught by the finance director. That did not get caught by our legal counsel. That did not get caught by our bond counsel. That did not get caught by the Board of Selectmen. It was a simple oversight that took place.
Didn't get caught by the budget committee either.
Yeah, and the budget committee either. So we moved the project forward. While it moved forward, we developed a working MOU, which that working MOU established the time frames for when the monies were to come in. The ship had already kind of sailed. The warrant article was developed. The project was underway. And quite frankly, here we are today, sitting here with a little bit of egg on our face. At the end of the day, we brought together a fantastic project that's going to serve this town for a number of years in the future. There's some lessons learned on this. I think a couple of those lessons learned are we have some really good public-private partnerships, and going forward we need to clearly define what those partnerships are going to look like before we get to warrant article development. Today, when we met with the Board of Selectmen, there was a lot of conversations which took place regarding the letter that you have a copy of. At the end of the meeting, the Board of Selectmen motioned to sign the letter. The Board of Selectmen also discussed development of a letter to the general population to put this thing in as layman's terms as we possibly can so that people understand what took place. It is a timing issue. It is based on that snapshot of time from December 31, 2022. Since that time, we've collected $2.19 million of the promised 2.7. Again, we are here tonight respectfully asking that this budget committee consider signing the letter for over expenditure of the 2023 budget if required. I am still very hopeful that we do not need to do this. And I think to answer Suzanne's question, we have a shortfall still of $113,000 that we have yet to identify. So if the books were to close today, right now, we know we'd be $113,000 short. If the events over the past 24 hours were snow, with the winds we've had, we would have had some significant expenses associated with snow removal, fuel, overtime, probably contracted services to come in and help keep the streets open and traffic moving safely. We did weather this storm okay. Steve has a couple of washouts, but he believes he's going to be able to handle those with his staff, minimal overtime, and with materials that he has on hand. So with that said, the letter's here. It is signed by the Board of Selectmen. Respectfully asking that you consider it. Brian and Linda were at the meeting. They may have something else to say to tie in, but that's kind of where we're at.
Jim, the letter you speak of, is it the one that you gave us on December 15th that says draft?
It's been revised now. It's been revised.
It would be the 14th.
It's dated the 14th.
That is correct. And there's some grammatical changes, but the big changes at the end where we removed the option for consideration of the revenue. Yeah, Brian, you've got the right one because it's got the signature page on the back. You have the one with the signature page on it. That's the correct one.
So which one is missing of the, these seven that you did? You took out some of those or no?
We took out, so under the second page, under option 1, there were 2 options in the original letter. The second option was to allow authorization of usage of the donated funds received by the Friends of Pop Whalen. It was this committee's direction that they felt that we should go exclusively with, allow for a revenue transfer in the amount of $175,000 from the Electric Enterprise Fund for the 2023 expenditure.
Question? Yeah, go ahead, Bob.
Something else we discussed was getting an opinion from legal counsel as to whether all of this is legal.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. Did you receive that
I
information?
forwarded that to this committee today. That opinion stated that this letter is consistent with RSA 3111, 3211, the over expenditure provisions. It's consistent with that practice.
So he believes we're covered. Thank you.
And he also stated that he was not able to find any definitive case law relative to this type of case.
John?
Yes, sir.
From what I drew from that letter, Nathan could not come up with anything that would prevent the select board from drawing the money from the Electric Enterprise Fund. So you can do that, according to his opinion. Also, Nathan describes an exception to DRA approval because of a sudden or unexpected emergency. The select board can authorize such transfer of electric funds to handle the situation. So I don't know if, I guess from what you just said, Jim, it sounds like today would not be considered a sudden or unexpected emergency. However, we do have a couple of weeks left in the year. We never know what's going to happen. I think the bottom line is this past March, you submitted a warrant article that we voted on, that we passed, to repair the roads for, what, 850,000?
Correct.
And you decided that the funding would come from the unexpended fund balance. And when the audit was done, the state DRA knocked on your door and said, well, wait a minute, you didn't have $850,000 in the unexpended fund balance. You only had about $307,000. So I boil this whole situation down to a simple mistake. If you write that warrant article to be paid for by cash, and it will pass because they all pass by 90%, this whole thing never happens. But in the end, I see no harm, no foul. We're getting the $2.7 million donation that was promised to us. We have a first-class hockey rink. Well, our old hockey rink needed to be shut down. It was at the end of its useful life. So we built a new hockey rink, first class, for about $4.2 million of taxpayer money. Nobody builds a hockey rink for $4 million. They go from $7 to $10 million. Now I can hardly walk, never mind ice skate, but I still thought it was a good idea because it's good for the community. I felt it would bring more people into this community. It would have more groups sign up to practice there. Ice time would go up. Chuck presented us, Bobby and I went up to visit them. We're assigned to Parks and Rec. And they presented what we felt was a good, viable business plan. This thing is brand new. We don't know if it's going to work out the way they say it is, but I feel very good about the whole thing. So I'm signing this letter. That's it, John.
Thank you.
Paul?
Jim and team, given that we know what we know now, what would we have done differently?
Well, that's a wide open question.
Just trying to learn.
Number one, I do not believe you will see us utilizing fund balance for warrant articles anytime in the future based on the timing associated with our audit report. The audit report comes out, and at that point we have a solid understanding of where our fund balance actually lies, and then I think from that point we take that to the Board of Selectmen and say, okay, we're going to buy down the tax rate by this much as opposed to using it for projects. This practice got some projects completed. The other thing that I think we've learned is having more definition and more teeth to our MOUs, but yet not so aggressive that we shut down public-private partnerships. So I think it's a hybrid of the two, and as well being able to identify if we have to within the warrant article when those funds, those donated funds would be due. which would transfer onto the appropriate DRA forms.
Go ahead, Paul.
Can I add a few more minutes to this? By the way, thank you, Jim, for your opening comment. Here are the facts as I understand them after, my personal work and talking to our auditor and reading the letter that was sent by the New Hampshire DRA to Mr. Deshay, which I hope will be entered into the record. If we need to motion that, I'll do that at this, and when we're done. In June of 2022, the town entered into a contract with the Friends of Pop Whalen. That contract was very clear. Well, people signed it, and the contract said, Friends of Pop Whalen will provide funds in the amount of 2.7, I may have the exact number wrong, but $2.7 million by July 31st of 2023. That was the contract. It also said in the contract, as good lawyers tend to do, that contract superseded any other oral or written agreements. It was the plan of record for the Pop Whalen contract. On or around October, early October, a document called, I think it's the MS 434 Revised Estimated Revenues, was sent to the Department of New Hampshire Revenue, and that included I believe the entire amount of the anticipated donation that would be brought in 2022. There's a rule that...
Can you just ask a question?
Bob was making a little speech. I figured I'd do one too. Okay?
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
So in 2022, we had to make a decision. You cannot appropriate, you can't have a partial funding of a project. You either appropriate all the money or you don't. And the mechanism that was used was done over the, what I understand to be the MS 434R. The other option would have been to simply take what was represented to the town in the deliberative session, which we all participated in, that we could have either changed the warrant article to make it appropriate the entire amount on the bond, or change the other representation. The town did, I'm not going to say it's a right or wrong thing, they did it. And New Hampshire DRA said, that's what you did. The auditor said that's what you did. So the project was totally funded. The difficulty is the chart that we have here that came out in at the deliberative session that says here's how it's all going to get paid for, and that would have left people with an impression that it was all going to be done by these three parties. It didn't happen that way. That's how things work sometimes. So I'm completely supportive of sending a letter to the state saying, hey, we did what we did, we probably have learned, we'll do better, please give us the opportunity if we need to reach into the electric fund if necessary. Not happy that we have to do that, but you know what? It was a management decision that got made. And that's the way sometimes it works out. So I'm supportive of the letter. Thank you for letting me do that, John.
No, thank you, Paul.
I have some questions, please, John.
Go ahead, Bobby.
So I just have a couple on the unassigned fund balance. I'm just worried about moving forward that $568,000 that the town is still owed. Where are we accounting for that? Because if that's going to show up still in these numbers from 22 or 23, have we done something to offset that $568,000? So we're not off again moving forward.
Nope, the Board of Selectmen has done a one-year extension for the remaining balance, but we are receiving payments as they're coming along.
So are we still showing $568,000 more than we have?
No, we don't have it, so we can't be showing it.
But we accounted for that 2.7 million in advance. We've paid that out.
Yep.
So where are we accounting for the shortfall of the 568? That's what we're left, right, with the shortfall?
I don't understand your question.
We accounted for
I'm not accounting for something I don't have. That's where I'm kind of confused.
John, can I try to help there? Bobby, I think what happened is the anticipated receipts of 2.7 million, that accounts for the fact that we don't have that money in there.
That's right, and we put them on our books.
And that just that just took the unassigned fund balance down to $307,000. There's no more that's it. And so if money comes in, I think it would go into the unassigned fund balance. But
Well, first it goes into revenue,
goes
and
into
then at the
revenue,
end of
and then
the
it gets
year, it falls
deposited in the
through
unassigned
to
fund balance. So
unassigned fund balance.
there's no doubling.
I think that, I mean, and I know you discussed it at your August 2nd meeting, but I think that 568, and I know we skirt around that issue on number 5 in the letter. We just say with a balance due, which is fine. I mean, it's essentially in there. But moving forward, I mean, and I wasn't on the budget committee, so I don't fully understand, but when the MS 535 report is produced, does the budget committee look at that before the select board signs it?
No.
Moving forward, should that be part of the budget committee, is looking at all the aspects of how the budget is moving to be able to constantly get the revenues and to look at the full books, to look at these accounts, more than just look at a budget in a book and say, yeah, we want to get rid of, $2,000 in something. I mean, what are we doing to move forward as a budget committee that we don't have this happening again in the future?
May I answer?
Yeah, go ahead.
The MS 535 is prepared by the auditor.
Okay.
So we wait till the audit is done.
Okay.
So DRA was a little wrong in the email that you saw today, because they say it's an unaudited document when it's prepared by the auditors, and it is an after-the-fact document.
Yeah.
So you could learn from it, but there's nothing you can do about it. It's what happened in the previous year. So that's what that report indicates.
And would not sign the 737 cover the basis for what Bobby is requesting?
Yes.
Most of that same stuff's in
The 737, the only thing is that's before the vote of the deliberative session, right? I mean,
Okay.
that's going into deliberative session, so things could have changed, but you are correct. Everything is represented on that first document of 737.
Which we all signed.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I think,
You all set, Bobby?
just one quick thing.
Go ahead, Mo.
I think the other thing here, no one's brought up, I think one of the important pieces of this is we should have made sure that they had that 2.7 million. We didn't do that. That's a mistake on all of us. They didn't have that money, and we forced the Railroad Museum to do that. We held their money until they raised their 90,000. I remember that. And so if there's a lesson to be learned here, they need to raise their money. That means that project may get delayed, but that's it. And maybe that gives them a little more, gusto to go get that money. But I think that would have solved all this. That wouldn't even be having this discussion. So.
Matt?
I just had a couple of questions. I'm trying to understand the reason for asking for 175,000. Does that include the 113,000?
Yeah.
So you will be taking at least 113,000.
We're really hopeful that when the books close, we're able to close that gap with the spending freezes that we put into place with fuel, labor.
And we won't know.
We won't know for a while.
The books won't close for a
February,
couple
March,
months.
yes, we need to get
Okay.
in all final year-end bills.
The letter does not really say, it doesn't include the clause that says, we're only going to take this money if we really need it.
I believe that we discussed that last week. That is correct. But it's only if we're overspent do we need to ask for permission to be overexpended.
You can't take more money than what you need.
Yeah, there would be no, if we're underspent, I'm not going to take I'm not going to take dollar if we're not overspent. That's just protecting us if we're overspent. Storms come in, spending is at 100% for everyone. We could be off that 113 and plus 50, 60,000 if there's 4 storms between now and December 31st.
So that's why the difference between 113 and 175 is the unforeseen
In case we
snowstorm.
Could happen.
Yes.
It doesn't explain that.
It doesn't.
The letter doesn't say that. I'm just, it's what I said, this gets back to what I said the other night, Thursday night. It doesn't, the letter doesn't say what the emergency is. It doesn't articulate, this is the need. This is why we have to do this. This is why we're looking for something really unusual. And it's not subjective. This permission to do this, it's not a subjective issue. You have to meet objective criteria. What we're hearing is the attorney said, we don't know what the objective criteria are. There's no cases that he found. We don't have a list of objective criteria that need to be met. My concern is the letter doesn't make the case. It doesn't say what the emergency is. And it's also asking for an amount that's kind of a guess.
But my understanding is that you can't ask for funds after the fact if it's needed.
You can't spend them until you ask for them, is what the statute says.
You can only expend what you
can't
appropriate.
Jim, I have a couple of questions for you. No other place to find this money in the budget or any other place that we can find?
We found
$256,000 we took from other departments to cover this line. We stopped the spending of $71,000 from that line item. We're taking about $67,000 out of capital reserve fund, and we're looking for a $39,000 grant monies to come in. So you take the 547 minus those four things, we have not identified $113,118. To say that there's not more dollars here or there, yes, but it'll be up to if the spending freeze happens and like overtime. I mean, we're having overtime today that wasn't a planned event. I mean,
Is that unfunded account up par now? Is there enough money in there? Where you took the money for the, is that back?
it will be at year end by at least that amount.
Be enough? 2.2 million or whatever it is?
2 million, yeah.
Okay.
Can I ask
How are we going to pay back the electric fund for the loan or whatever you want to call it?
I think last meeting, Casey discussed the idea of reducing one of their payments for the administrative allocation. If that's approved by the auditor, I would assume that would be the method we would go.
Right. Do we do that at the budget process this year? Do we take that administrative allocation out of it? I think it's probably 60,000, 70,000 or?
Over 100,000.
Is it for the electric department?
Yeah.
I want to say it's $430,000 is the.
Oh, really?
That's a big number.
No, it's a big number.
Because he's a monster revenue producer, right?
So should we do that this year?
No, because if we don't spend it, we don't need
Don't need
it.
it,
We
okay.
won't be reducing their budget next year.
Okay. So it would depend on you to remember that then.
Hopefully. I'm not going to forget this soon.
So I have a question. If
Just,
we-
I got one more question, Bobby. So if we don't do this, Jim, we face the possibility of not getting our roads plowed. The money won't be there. to
No,
pay for-
I'm going to sit here and tell you right now that if you don't do this, we're going to try our darndest to keep normal operations as normal as we possibly can. Not going to endanger the welfare of any citizens because of an accounting issue based on time frames. That is a bad plan. What I'm hopeful for is we can close these books and the numbers are in alignment and everything comes out fine. I'm sorry, John, I lost your complete question in my brain.
It wasn't about Christmas. No, I just want to, I think it's very important that we approve this, because I don't want you, or, there's enough stress that goes on, it was a mistake, we move on, we've learned our lesson, and so be it. And I've got your word pretty much that if you don't need the money, you're not going to spend it.
Well, and I can sit here and tell you the spending freeze is still in place. The spending freeze is not being lifted. Departments advise me when they have issues. At the end of the day, we're not going to make up the full 13, but we're going to make up a lot of it. And I Casey can correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe if DRA approves this, that it's more of a tool for the auditors to be able to say, okay, let's bring your books for 2024 back to zero. Would that be fair? It's not like, okay, Casey, give me that $175,000 and put it into this account. That's just not gonna happen.
I'm sorry, Barbie, go ahead.
So I just have the question that if we're gonna move the funds from the enterprise fund, the electric enterprise fund, and then we're going to pay that back, how are we paying that back?
By reducing their administrative allocation fee that they pay quarterly next year in '24.
Which comes from our operating budget?
Which
Yeah.
comes from electric's operating budget, yes.
Okay, so now we're moving the money, we're paying them back. When we
Correct.
pay them back, are we essentially taxing the citizens to pay that back when those funds should be donation funds for Pop Whalen? Are we essentially taxing citizens where they did not vote to be taxed?
No, because right in the DRA and the legal letter says it, we cannot increase taxes or change the taxes.
Tax rate is set.
Tax rate is
I
set.
just want to make sure when we pay them back, we're not paying them back out of the general fund where we taxed into the general fund. So when the enterprise fund is paid back, where essentially is that money coming from?
General fund, but it would be unassigned fund balance.
That thing.
And the unassigned fund balance will go back up when POP pays us back
Correct.
by June of next year. So
They've
we
already
won't-
paid us back over 2 million, so
Yeah.
it's going up 2
I
million.
understand that, but they still owe 568, and we're asking the enterprise fund to give us 175. That 175 should come out of the unassigned balance, fund balance.
Correct, that's what I said. Yeah.
I know, I'm just making sure we're not getting that money back till June of next year. I
No,
want to make
that's-
sure that the citizens.
They're making payments as they get money in. So it's not all coming in next June. They've made three payments.
Okay, I just don't want to double tax, I just don't want it to be a double tax on our citizens.
Linda, did you have something? Linda,
Linda?
What?
did you have
I,
something?
he just said that. I just want to say that the money is in, we know we're going to have a surplus in the unassigned fund balance of 2.1 million plus whichever they've given us. And that's why we will not have to raise taxes. We already have the cash in hand. In 2022, we used cash in hand, which was our unassigned fund balance. All the expenses are paid for, am I correct?
That's correct.
And so the cash, the 2.1 million is now in our bank account. And we have nothing to spend it on other, that I know of, is correcting this 175.
Correct.
And so the money's there, so it will not.
I just want to say, I did attend the select board meeting today, and one of the issues that we had discussed earlier, or I know that was important in this letter, was having a little bit of a mea culpa, and I absolutely appreciate the fact that we're now discussing that we did make an error, because I think it's important to say, okay, it's not nobody stole the money, like I said this afternoon, so that's not a big deal, but we did make an error in our books. And I think having a mea culpa still in this letter is important.
Paul?
So just help me on a little walk here. So the other evening, Bobby, you asked about how much cash we have. Remember you asked that question?
Yeah, I wanted to
Every
know
month, we
what
get a treasurer's report, not only month over month, but then year to date. It comes out every month. Treasurer, here's how much money came in, here's how much money went out. And right now, the treasurer's report is showing a balance of about 1.7 million of cash on hand. Okay. In prior years, that could have been $10 million of cash, but it's 1.7. And I think is the way this works, Casey, that I take the 1.7 and then add the audited 307 to it to say what's the total cash on hand, or is there a different way?
There's a lot. If you look over a couple more columns to whatever it is you're looking at, there's money in New Hampshire PDIP, that's our invested money. What you're looking at is just the cash amount. That amount is also all of water, sewer, electric's money. So to look at one number.
I was just looking at the bottom right, of course, it's cash on hand.
But that's just, again, we have an investment account too.
Yeah. So right now, I would say, if you add the 307, the cash on hand, on a year-to-date basis and a month-to-date basis, we got probably 2 million, but there's other monies that are coming in proceeds between now and the end of the year, because we get a big tax proceed coming in. the
Yeah,
next
it's coming in
couple of
every day right now.
That's right, every day. So I'm not here to handicap the situation, but, you know, we need to be 10% of general fund as a guideline, not as a rule, as a guideline. And it seems to me that the run rate of receipts that we're getting, and by the way, there's gonna be a lot of money going out the door, but the run rate of receipts that we're getting gives me some degree of confidence that we probably will be at the guideline by end of year. I might be wrong, but it looks like we have enough cash right now. Okay? Now, whether that translates into next year, I don't know. But right now, I think, you know, I looked at it from a cash point of view, and it looks okay.
Thank you, Paul.
Bob Lowen.
John,
Bob?
question, are we in a position at this point to move to sign this document?
Yeah, if everyone doesn't have any more questions,
I'd like to
do
make a motion.
Do you want to do that motion?
I would like to move that we, as a budget committee, sign the document.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, see then.
I have
Okay.
further discussion. So
Go
I
ahead.
want to go back to the select board meetings today. And correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't there more to it than just putting out a letter? Were we not going to have a public meeting to allow people to come and ask questions also, or?
No, there wasn't any talk of public meeting. I think my understanding is we would write the statement, and that would be read at a selectmen's meeting, and then we would publish it.
And I would think that the budget committee would want to be part of that also.
Why should we want to be part of it?
Because I think that, as we said in the beginning of all this, we all miss this. Everybody missed this.
Well, we have faith. We paid an attorney a lot of money to read those things over, and it's not going to fall on our heads and we made the mistake.
It is, we're signing this document right now.
No, I'm signing it because it's the right thing to do. A mistake was made, and we need to do this for the community to make sure everything gets, roads are plowed and everything else.
The reason you're doing it is because that is the process.
Correct.
That is by statute, you have to sign it. We have to get a majority vote here in order to send the letter. It isn't a choice of whether you send, your names are on it or
Well,
not.
I'm talking about for our citizens, moving forward, I want to make sure that there is a space where we are accessible to just talk about this for the citizens. I mean, that's the whole point of being here, to govern, to make sure that things in our town our citizens are able to understand. I mean, some of my questions that I asked, quite honestly, I probably know the answer to some of them, but I'm asking them because I think the citizens don't know the answers, and it's not fair.
And I'll make that statement in public, in a public meeting. I'm willing to sit down with any citizen and take out all the documents I have and answer any of their questions to help them understand. I'm absolutely comfortable in doing that. And the Board of Selectmen is going to put out a statement, and their statement, they're hoping will make it clear to everybody. But if somebody needs more detail, they can come to me, they can come to KC, they can come to Brian, Brad in the back. We're willing. We came through this process to be open and straightforward with what happened. We didn't wait and say, oh, are we going to quickly make it at the end? We said, look, we made this mistake. We're in this situation. We're coming to you. We need your signature, and we're willing to be open. I'll show you anybody, any document, and talk to them about any part of this.
I guess I'll just have one suggestion. I would hope in the future that if you are going to do something like this, that you come to the budget committee and let us know. I think this happened and we didn't know anything about it. That's why I don't think this committee should take any responsibility for it. If you come to us and said, hey, this is what we want to do, what do you think? Okay, you won't take responsibility. And nobody came to us. We weren't aware of this till this all happened.
I don't think you have any responsibility. I think it lays and stays under the authority of the Board of Selectmen.
Thank you.
And we needed to come to you because we had to, and
Yeah.
it is our responsibility. I think if we read the statutes and what the role of the Budget Committee and what the role is of the Board of Selectmen, that's pretty clearly where it falls.
And I think we came to you as quickly as we knew.
Well, I'm not questioning when you came to us. I'm just saying, if you're going to do something like this again, you might want to come to us before you do it, or get some other advice from someone. Is this okay to do it? I don't think that's ever going to be a problem ever again. I think everyone's learned their lesson.
We'll
Or
try
if
not
we-
to make another mistake.
No, Linda,
I
come
mean,
on.
in reality,
People
that's-
make mistakes. I'm not saying that. I understand people make mistakes, okay? But sometimes it's mistakes that are unintentional, like this one, you just didn't know. You had probably the advice of the attorney that said, go ahead and do it. You know, I don't know. But I'm just saying, usually on decisions like this, something major like this, someone comes to the Budget Committee and just gives us, you know, some heads up or whatever. Not about the mistake, but this is what we're going to do. But that's just me personally thinking. I don't know how the other members feel or not, Paul.
And I'm not trying to push back on a comment he's made. There's enough gotchas that we can pass around. I'm not a player in that kind of stuff. We found out about this when the audit report came out, which is what, October 13th. Prior to October 13th, I don't think you guys knew anything.
we didn't know either.
You didn't hear it.
No,
So
we didn't.
it's October, November, December. So it's 40 business days post-event. I agree with you, John. I mean, we need to learn to have more connectivity between and among the organizations, mindful of, you know, that we're not telling them how to run the business and all that kind of stuff. And we can always do better there. And I think so. I'm not comfortable that we're not going to trip another comment from DRA. I'm not comfortable with that because I can't predict the future and I don't know how the book close is going to look at the end of the year. I just don't know. But what I do know is that a lot of smart people have tried really hard to sort it out. And I have not had anybody push me back, tell me, you know, don't call anybody. I just did what I felt was necessary to do. And I think we can learn, all of us, from what we found here. This is not a pretty situation, but it happened. Period. We gotta learn from it. So, no fault.
Okay, the motion is to approve, I guess, sign the letter to DRA. Leanne, could you do a roll call,
So
please?
say that again, clearly define what your motion is. Is it that we are personally going to sign the letter to DRA as written?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is the motion.
Any other questions?
Okay.
Dated
12/14, correct?
Is that the same, going by the same date?
Yeah.
Yeah, dated 12/14.
Okay, I'll be
And
back.
no, hold on, and no modifications can be made to this letter at this point?
Motion's on the table.
Selectmen already signed it.
Is it dated today?
12/14.
Don't the minutes have to go in with it? The minutes of
Good
the
point.
board, they come out, the budget committee.
Yeah, and I think that can be handled through a telephone call with the assistant director tomorrow when I send this to him and say the email is coming to your commissioner, and once the minutes are produced, you will receive them.
No, the minutes will be dated today, the letter is dated 3 days ago.
It's not when you signed it, though. Today's when you sign it.
Is there a date section where we sign it?
Can you take roll call back?
So the letter will be dated, whatever, we'll sign it and date it today.
Yeah.
I think that sorts
I
that
can
out.
do that. Okay, any other questions? Okay, vote to yes means we're going to sign the letter and send it to the DRA.
Yep.
Leanne, please do a roll call.
Okay. Brian DeShays,
I have to abstain.
Paul O'Brien,
Yes.
Bob Lohman,
Yes.
Matt Fosh,
Yes.
Brian Black,
Yes.
Bob Mulholland,
Yes.
John McDonald,
Yes.
Bob Tucker,
Yes.
Bobby Budman.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone.
May I make another motion, John?
Certainly.
I'd like to move that that the grant award letter dated June 1, 2022, that the letter that was sent by Adam Denoncourt from the DRA at newhampshire.gov dated December 15th, and then a copy of the MS 434R, revised estimated revenues, be added to our minutes.
Paul, could I get you to also add the letter that we're signing to the minutes?
Oh, yeah, and the letter that we're signing to our minutes. I'd like to
Thank you.
move that we put all those in the minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Leanne, you get a second, you do a roll call too, please.
Yeah. Bobby Bedlin? Yes. Bob Tupper?
Yes.
John McDonald?
Yes.
Bob Mulholland?
Yes.
Brian Black?
Yes.
Matt Posh?
Yes.
Bob Lohman?
Yes.
Paul O'Brien?
Yes?
And Brian DeShays?
Yes.
Thank you.
Then we have anything else?
You want us to sign that before we leave?
Yeah. Anyone have anything else?
You gonna do minutes, John?
Isn't that enough?
I think so.
Yeah, let's knock out these minutes.
You done?
Motion,
Is there a public comment period? at the end
hold
of
on,
the
guys, I
meeting?
want to do some minutes. The minutes of November 29th and November 30th. Can I get a motion concerning the minutes for November 29th?
Move to accept those minutes.
And there's a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay, the motion is to accept the minutes as written for November 29th. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Concerning the minutes of November 30th, any motion concerning those minutes?
So moved.
Second, okay. Any discussion? Okay, the motion is to approve the minutes of November 30th, 2023. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Okay. The minutes are approved. Our next meeting is on, let's see here, December 28th. And we'll be doing a couple more agencies, default budget, estimated revenues, warrant articles, we clean the warrant articles, and we'll also do some revisiting if we can. Everyone have a Merry Christmas and a safe
Question, John,
Christmas.
please.
Yes, sir.
Public comment.
John, before we adjourn.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. The agencies that were not discussed tonight, are they going to be part of the 28th?
Yes, they both wrote to me via email stating that they were unable to attend this evening. I rescheduled them for December 28th.
I think we're going to have to because we're running out of time.
Yeah, we can address that.
They're all rescheduled for December 28th as of right now.
How about public comment? Again, I apologize.
Public comment?
Yeah.
Suzanne?
Any public comment?
I think it's all been said.
Okay.
Well, at least you got a smile out of you.
I'd say
That's the way
Merry
temporary.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
That's the way temporary.
Mr. Chairman, I would just like to close by saying thank you for signing this. And for those out in the world watching this, if you have questions about what's transpired here and what's going on, feel free to reach out and ask the questions, because we are trying to be as transparent as possible and allow you to know what's going on. So if you have questions about what's transpired, I haven't had any telephone calls about it. I've had a few emails from this committee. Please feel free to reach out. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Casey. Motion to,
So moved.
and a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.